Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the instant match reaction. I'm Chris Pajak. That is Ben Kelly. No Paul Machin. Anyone who watched the live watch along will know why. Less said about that, the better. But we are here to discuss Liverpool's 2-0 victory in the Champions League first leg game against RB Leipzig. Ben, I'm not really spoken to you about the game, mate. What were your sort of overriding thoughts?
Very, very impressive, and also what a relief. Two contrasting sort of crash of emotions, really. That's the Liverpool that we know and love, and it's a performance that is a lot more encouraging. And it's I think we talked before the game. You and Chris, you and Paul rather. You are Chris. Certainly said it on your pre-match show. That team that we put out tonight was certainly capable of a performance like that, and it's been capable of a performance like that over the last few weeks. What little we spoke about the game, I said to you that was the performance against Leicester for 75 minutes. The difference was there that we got first of all we got ourselves a second goal, and we kept going, and we didn't crumble under any pressure and all that. Not that Leipzig, I'd say, put us under any real pressure for sustained periods of the game, but I think that came down to us dominating the ball, dominating the game, and ultimately, making sure that we didn't give them chances to put pressure on us for long periods.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And, from my point of view, I'm like, that was brilliant. I certainly get that relief side of things as well. Like, there was definitely a little bit of that. Because what we've seen, against Leicester, against Manchester City, is a good first half performance of us not being able to put teams away. But second half, it was that sustained pressure, wasn't it, that I felt really put RB Leipzig into a little bit of a predicament and almost forced their hand into those mistakes.
Yeah. And, I think that's what Liverpool... I think that was going to go two ways. Leipzig were either going to be really, really dangerous on the counter-attack and really punish us, or we were going to have sort of the ability to sort of shut that down quite early. Marcel Sabitzer's a fantastic player. He was very, very limited to creating opportunities tonight. There wasn't much of that he could do. We knew all about the threat of Angelino on the left. He couldn't really get himself into the game. As I said, it was all about, going into this game, it was all about who would be able to dominate the ball, and I think that was going to be the key. It was about dominating the ball, and it was about winning the midfield battle, and I think Liverpool did both of those pretty well tonight.
That's where Liverpool won the game for me. I think the pressure from the front three on that press, I think, Leipzig start the game really well. First 10 minutes, Liverpool are struggling to play the ball out from the back. Then they understand the movement. It gets a little bit better. They understand how they're going to get their triangles around and how they're going to play out from the back. And Liverpool started to dominate there. There's a couple of times when Wijnaldum dropped between the centre halves, and we did that a couple of times. That worked, and then he moved into midfield, and it was about Curtis and everyone finding a little bit of space and stuff. But for me, intensity is what won us that game from the front three players. That's what we've not seen enough of, isn't it, over the last few weeks, is this high press Liverpool side, and Leipzig allowed us to be that, and almost I think that enabled us to sort of shed the Premier League as the game goes on, because we were allowed to play a natural game.
I think it makes a difference when you're playing a team who does somewhat want to go toe to toe with you and play football. Obviously, I know that Manchester City and Leicester do that, but they're obviously both very, very good sides. Leicester, I think, Leipzig, I think we've seen tonight that even though they're second in the Bundesliga, they're maybe not quite as good as the top sides in the Premier League, and I think that's probably fair. But overall, when teams try and play us at football, that does suit us much better than when we play a low block side. I thought, though, the energy, as you said there, the energy in the midfield comes from Curtis Jones for me. Yeah. Nothing against James Milner, and he provides a lot in our midfield in a very different way, but ultimately he's 35 years old, and that instead you've got a 19-20-year-old kid running around, and he could do it all night long. And I think that's what Liverpool have been lacking a little bit over the last few games, and there Curtis Jones comes in. Personally, going into this game, I said to Ross, I said on my tactical preview, I'd have given Oxlade-Chamberlain a go, but I think maybe tonight might be a sort of a crucial, or we'll look back on this Curtis Jones performance for me to say this is where he really won that place in the side, because I think right now he's getting harder and harder to drop every week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And look, you said it there, mate. You know, they might not be as good as the other sides. Well, they got to the Champions League semi-finals last bloody season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're in the knockout rounds again. And Kurt Jones has been entrusted with a midfield spot in a huge game for Liverpool in knockout European competition. And he puts in a man of the match display there for us. That'll do his confidence the world of good. He's a confident young lad anyway. He probably doesn't need anything. But now he'll feel like he belongs because he's done it on the top level of European football. We had a super chat coming from Gareth Baird. Thank you, Gareth. Great game and all. Glad we got a clean sheet. Well done, lads. Come on, you Reds. Let's just pick up on the clean sheet side of things. Yeah. How important do you think that was for Liverpool? And did you think we were going to get it?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say it's massively important because I think when ever going into the game, all the talk was Liverpool maybe just need to stay in the tie, or Liverpool just need to make sure they get a goal and bring it back to Anfield or wherever we end up playing it, you know, still within a chance of going through. And Liverpool went, nah, fuck that. We're going to go through, we're going to score goals, and we're going to keep a clean sheet, and we're going to put ourselves in a really commanding position. It's not tie over, 100%. You know, it's not like Porto a couple of years ago where you go out and absolutely wipe them off the pitch. But ultimately, we've come away there with a really commanding lead. We're very good at home overall, and you know we've made it very, very difficult for Leipzig there to have any hope. Put it this way: if Liverpool had gone away tonight and lost 2-0, we would be feeling very, very dejected about the way this tie goes. That's how Leipzig are going to be feeling right now.
There was a lot of talk. In fact, Edward Andre Redwolf says major confidence boost to get a clean sheet. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Completely agree with that. There was a lot of talk going into this game about, being a different competition. Will Liverpool be able to shed the baggage of the Premier League form and all that type of stuff? Now the conversation will focus not on that, but can they take that, what they've done tonight, and bring that back into the Merseyside derby and into Premier League football? If it's possible to leave one competition behind and come out and put a performance in like that, is it now possible for Liverpool, and will they translate that performance into the Premier League form?
Hopefully. And the thing is, the Merseyside derby is a difficult game anyway, isn't it? Because I know it's a cliche, but it doesn't really tend to matter what your form is. Both Liverpool and Everton have been in bang average form going into this, if not below par. So going into that game, it was always going to be difficult to predict because a derby's a derby. But I think Everton will be looking at that. They've got Manchester City tomorrow. If they go and get beat there, Everton suddenly are the less optimistic ones going into Sunday. A week ago, we go and get beat at Leicester, we get battered by Man City. They'll been rubbing their hands, but if they go and lose tomorrow night and we put in a really good convincing performance there, it's all about mentality and psychology going into these games. And I think just that little boost tonight, just that extra ego boost of we can do it. What's everybody talking about? We are this top side. We know that we're this top side. We'll hopefully be able to take that belief going into Saturday.
James Lim, £5 super chat. Thank you, James. Class. Thiago and Jones, class. Upamecano, poor. We looked immense. Would have liked a 10-minute cameo of Hendo midfield, but unreal performance. Confidence indeed. Let's just pick up on one part of that first of all. We talked a little bit about Kurt Jones. We talked a little bit about the midfield as well. But Thiago's performance, was that his most complete midfield performance for us so far?
Potentially. I mean, we talked before the game on one of the shows about, I think this is his first Champions League game for Liverpool, and he showed up. If there were any doubters, I think, over the last few games, and I must admit, I wouldn't say I've been doubting his future at Liverpool or anything like that, but just over these last few performances, I have struggled to see. I'll admit, I have struggled to see what he's offered us. Tonight was completely different. He did add that extra dimension for me. For me, just those, again, like the Everton and Chelsea games towards the beginning of the season, it's those passes that no one else seems to see, or nobody else quite has the ability to play. It unlocks doors. It's an extra level of creativity that we don't often get from midfield, and the performances like that make me so excited for because I think ultimately this midfield moves into the best midfield being Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago. Yeah. I think that's going to be the best three, and performances like that from Thiago make me so excited for when that midfield's possible again.
Well, absolutely. For me, I thought Ox was brilliant, and it's gone under the radar, and it shouldn't have, but he's winning the ball back more than any other player on the team, and he's done that since he's come in. Now, we haven't got the wins, but that doesn't mean that he's playing badly. And I think what people have focused on is him losing the ball. Yeah, he loses the ball. Every player loses the ball, and if you want to focus on that, but I'm focusing on the positives when it comes to Thiago. He's still bedding in. He's played 2 positions, maybe 3 positions for us over the course of a 3-month period when he's coming off the back of an injury, and he still looks like he belongs. Of course he does. He's world class. He's going to continue to prove that for me. Reece Owens, 2.99. Kurt Jones, properly something special. Ox is done. We'll come on a little bit about Ox a little bit later, but we've talked about Kurt Jones and what his ability is and what his level can be, but that performance tonight was brilliant. The other lad that I gave my co-man of the match award to, though, Ben, was Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, we saw a Trent Alexander-Arnold performance there, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, particularly that first half, I thought the amount of creative, balls that he plays, the opportunities that, they don't necessarily come off every time, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson does it as well, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, more than anybody on the play for me, has the balls to try things all the time, and that's what I really like about him. He's a young lad who knows he's got a decent right foot on him, as everybody else does, and he just goes, you know what, I'm good enough to play that pass. And again, it doesn't necessarily come off every single time, but in games like this at the very top level, this is why this kid has played in 2 Champions League finals and won one of them. He's a Premier League winner. He's won all these trophies by the age of 22.
Was
he's
a world champion.
It goes down in his honours.
He's won it.
Yeah, he's won. He's been a world champion. He might well be world champion again. But again, all these honours don't come at 22 if you've not got big bollocks on you to play passes and play ambitious balls. And tonight, I thought we saw loads of that.
Gary Lineker said it after the game, of course, a little bit of it, and he said, look, the best players try the hardest balls and they don't always come off. And this is what Trent Alexander-Arnold does. I mean, 2 of them for Mo Salah, absolutely outstanding. Plays that one through where Mo ends up one-on-one and Galachi makes himself big in the first half. Brilliant ball. Second one, I think he does the same. Mo Salah again, and Salah then runs into Upamecano, takes it away slightly to the right-hand side of the penalty area as we're facing their goal. Another great ball. Plays that one with the outside of his boot in as well, doesn't he, into the middle of the penalty area. But it was that ability and that drive and determination to hit the byline today. I had a little look at the pass maps, mentioned this on the play ratings show, Ben. Robertson didn't push as far forward as Trent today. Trent was forward. And I just wonder whether Liverpool have gone, and I might be jumping the gun here on this one, where they've just gone, play your friggin' natural game, Trent. You've sat back a little bit deeper than you have done in previous games, in previous seasons, apologies, and it's not really getting us anywhere. We're missing you in the business end of the pitch. From the get-go, from minute 1, he was at the byline crossing the ball in, and he was pressing and he was harrying and he was playing balls into Mo Salah. Him and Mo Salah linked up better today than they have done in weeks and weeks.
Probably helps that he's got a proper fucking centre-back next to him in the centre-half, you know what I mean? Like, even just the addition of Ozan Kabak, we've talked about it countless times, that when you play midfielders or somebody like Nat Phillips, who's a little bit weaker at centre-half, we can't commit our centre-backs, our full-backs as forward as much as we want. We can't allow them to be as creative as we want them to be or as they normally are. We can't allow them to be linking up with the wingers as often as they should be. And as we've said, it's like, it's a house of cards. When the centre-backs aren't there, they can't do that. Therefore, the front three aren't as effective, and it all goes wrong. But just the addition of Ozan Kabak, who, by the way, I thought looked quite good tonight.
Yes, we'll talk about him, definitely.
He just the addition and the confidence that he brings, just by being there, he doesn't have to do very much, but he gives Trent the license, because, okay, there was a mix-up at the weekend, but what it gives is, after a few more days in training, Trent probably is already starting to build a little bit of a partnership or relationship with him at the back now, and he knows he's building more and more confidence to be able to push on more and more, like we've been used to seeing, and that only means that we're going to have that extra weapon back in our arsenal over the next few weeks.
Let's keep it on Kabak then. I think it's really interesting and move the conversation on slightly. There was a big call from Alisson to Kabak, and Alisson gets the ball in the first half, I think it was, and that was beautiful to see as a Liverpool fan. You know what I mean? I mean, just after everything that happened last week and all that type of stuff, to see Alisson come out, scream at Kabak, and Kabak stop, let Alisson get the ball, but he does everything that he needs to do. And what I said on my player rating show is, everyone wins the battles today. Yep. Kabak wins his, Henderson wins his, Trent wins his, Robertson wins his. We win that left-hand side of theirs, the right-hand side of ours. We win it all, and we win that midfield battle crucially. That's what was just brilliant. I mean, we haven't even talked about the goal scorers yet, but let's talk about Kabak before we do then. I mean, he's assured, and you see a couple of times in the first half, he's like, just a little shift of the ball, moving past the man, playing a pass.
Matip-esque at times.
Balls on one there.
He's been watching the videos. He's starting to
let's go there.
Yeah, he's starting to maybe think.
Is this kid going to be good?
I think he is. I think defensively, I think today, I think there was a few concerns at the weekend that he looked a little bit slow. I think, and overall he didn't have that much to do against Leicester, other than the one moment that we'll put to one side. But I think today, I think there'll be bigger tests for him because RB Leipzig, a lot was made of the fact that really they don't have a great striker in the team. They don't have a focal point. So there'll be better tests for him. But I'm just reading here, he wins 6 of his 7 ground duels. He wins 1 of his 2 aerial duels, so he's winning 50% of them. Looks after the ball very well. He's got an 84% pass completion rate. Pretty much everything you want out of
4 tackles as well.
Pretty much everything you want out of a centre back. He gets himself booked, but that's not the end of the world. So does Jordan Henderson. I think overall that will do his confidence a lot of good. At the end of the day, this is a very tough run of games that we unfortunately, the bad timing of it means that Kabak has come in and he's had to play 2 tough games off the back of it. It's not really getting any easier because Everton's a big game at the weekend. But, if he's been thrown in at the deep end and he's handling himself okay, then hopefully when we do come to a slightly kinder run of games on paper, he will continue to build his confidence, and maybe by the end of the season we'll have a really top player, another top centre-back.
So one of the things we talked about before the game is obviously entering that different competition. Mentioned it a little bit earlier on the show. The other thing that we've not really spoken about is Klopp's press conference.
Because it makes me happy.
Well, it was amazing. We've spoken about the press conference, but do you think the press conference has anything to do with the performance that we see today?
Maybe. I've not really thought about it until you mentioned it, but maybe. I think when it certainly affected the fan base yesterday. I'll say that. So
Henderson talks about it in the press conference as well. So we have to step up and take responsibility.
So whether that mood lift, I wouldn't be surprised if it radiates to the players as well. It made me feel better yesterday because I think everybody associated with Liverpool now, we've got an emotional attachment to Jurgen Klopp, and when Jurgen Klopp isn't right, we're not right as a club at the moment, and that's how intertwined we are. So when Jurgen Klopp comes out in a press conference and he's looking significantly more uplifted than he has been in recent weeks, and he's back cracking smiles and cracking jokes and laughing off the rumours that we had the other night, and it uplifts us, I think it will uplift the players. It'll give them confidence, and at the end of the day, the players will be going out every single game, and they're willing to down the pitch for the manager. And I think when they see press conferences like that, it just makes them want that even more. And I certainly think now that you've mentioned it, okay, I'll admit it wasn't something that I thought about until you brought it up, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if that has translated to the performance. Well, rightly so.
I want to talk about one more player, Mo Salah. I mean, he gets a goal, brilliant. Yeah. But what did you think of his all-round game tonight?
He was just so difficult to handle, wasn't he? He was cropping up all over the place. Like he at times he seemed a bit deeper than normal. I don't know whether you picked up on that, but he seemed a bit deeper and a bit more bit narrower, more like almost as if he was straying into Firmino's patch at certain times and picking up the ball there. And once he gets on the ball, he's so difficult to get off it. He's shrugging off players and he's twisting and he's turning. We did an instant match a couple of weeks ago. It might have been after West Ham or Brighton or one of them, where we talked about Mane and his unpredictability on the ball, and I think Mane had missed that game and we may be missing him a little bit, or we were worried about missing him. But Mo Salah was like that for tonight for me. Picking up the ball, you don't know what he's going to do next. You don't know if he's going to play the ball. You don't know if he's going to have a go. You don't know if he's going to take on a man. And I'll admit it's not often that you see that brilliant all-round performance from Mo Salah. He might have a bit of a stinker, but he'll score 2 and you'll kind of forget about it, and you get on with it. Tonight was one of those nights.
I thought it was a perfect team performance from Mo. That was the thing that stood out for me. Him helping Trent Alexander-Arnold out at right back, trying to get back and getting the better of Angelino in that area, telling Trent to go inside, I'll get this one here, you know what I mean, and seeing that from him. But also, I thought the way in which he moved the ball on from himself, normally gets the ball, and he has a tendency to dilly-dally a little bit, doesn't he? Tonight, he was getting the ball and he was popping it off quickly to somebody, and he was looking for his teammates before he looked about, can I get a shot off, or can I get inside and get a shot off, or beat me man. For me, it felt like when he was on his own, he'd happily go one-on-one with them, because he's on his own. But when there was players in better positions, tonight, he tipped the cap and went, here you go, boom. That ball that he fizzes in for Mane doesn't expect it.
No, but do you know what I find really interesting about the whole thing? That tweet that he put out on Sunday or Saturday, and it was as if tonight he maybe recognises at the moment that we're relying on him a little bit, and maybe recognises that, you know, we need him to not let us down at the moment. And, you know, much like I'm not comparing players and legacies or whatever, but so many times over the years, Lionel Messi has picked Barcelona up by the scruff of the neck and dragged them through and individually won them games. Now, Mo Salah at the moment maybe is recognising that there's a chance to take a leaf out of that book, and he's going, right now, the onus is on me to win Liverpool games on my own potentially, or at least be a massive factor in dragging them through tough spells like this. And, you know, if he wants to take that responsibility on his back, then brilliant, because he's good enough to do that and actually turn it into something substantial. And as I said, I don't necessarily think that it's a coincidence between the tweet that he put out the weekend, and it's as if overnight he's gone, right, I'm not letting this happen anymore. I'm going to step up
24
and change
goals
things.
this season.
Absolutely
already.
Outstanding.
24 goals
Absolutely
already.
Outstanding. He'll go down as one of the best Premier League players ever. Absolutely.
Yeah,
you know,
he should do.
He should do. They talked about it last night on Monday Night Football, didn't they, about the best value for money signing the Premier League's ever seen, and Carragher was putting Mo Salah in, you know, in the category. He wasn't quite in the top 5. They were talking about Jamie Vardy a lot, but he comes out tonight, Jamie Carragher, and says, "Okay, I'll put Salah in," because he just every week he shows up and does something of significance.
LS15 says Salah's our best player, and we should never talk about selling him. Players like that can take years to replace.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there you go. That is it, man. That is just. I feel so much better for a victory tonight, mate. I mean, I can't tell you that. If I feel like this, I know every Liverpool fan around the world is feeling like this at the moment. But it's the performance.
Absolutely, and it's the optimism of the big picture. I said to Paul out there before, look, you know, the league might be gone. And, you know, we're in a top 4 scrap now, whether we like it or not. But the Champions League, it's so unpredictable, and it gives you such a new lease of life. Because ultimately, you know, we draw another game against Leipzig, or, you know, we get through this tie, suddenly you're in a quarter-final, and anything's possible. And I think that's what we have to focus on right now. We need to keep things ticking over in the league. We need to get, you know, return to form over there, most importantly, probably, because we need to make sure that we're playing Champions League football next season. But if we keep putting performances like that in the Champions League, then, you know, it might be quite an exciting ride this season.
Yeah, we might be tough to beat if we can string a few games back to back like that in the competition. You're right, and it is the big question now, and we have to get onto it, I suppose. Is that us back, or is it not that simple?
I'm always hesitant to put a label on it like that, you know, especially when you've got such a big and unpredictable game coming up at the weekend. You know, we went away to Spurs and West Ham, 2 really important and convincing wins. Yeah, we're back, and then Brighton came. So, you know, it's difficult to put a label on it, particularly with the, you know, the still the same strange circumstances that we've had all season with the way the league is and the way football is right now. But hopefully it can't get any worse. That's all I'd say. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully we're starting to just dig ourselves out of that pit a little bit.
I'm going to say we are.
Yes, Chris. Balls on the table. Go for it.
Why not?
Why not?
Why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
I think
you're
that
a braver man than
I
me.
think that goes in, and you go back. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Keep doing that time and time again. And Everton won't be the litmus test for this, because Everton is just such a tough game. But, you know, I don't think...
Fulham and Sheffield United might be.
They might be. They may well be. But the confidence that we should take from putting in a great performance against a very, very good side, we need to be able to carry that in. We had one more super chat from James Watson. What if I told you we didn't really score 2 away goal signs? I'd say you were full of shit, James.
Yeah, I'm not sure I believe you.
No.
We were definitely away from home.
We were, yeah. And we'll be away from home in the next leg as well. And they'll count as home goals there. But no, James, thank you so much for the super chats. I'm just pulling your leg. Thank you to everybody who's watched, who's commented, who's super chatted, who's joined as a member, who's liked the videos, who's been part of this evening. It has felt really, really good to get back to seeing Liverpool win games of football. Thank you, Ben, for stepping in the place of Mr. Paul Machin. Less said about that, the better. We'll see you next time on the Instant Match Action. We'll be back tomorrow for the final words. If you want the full fat Redmen TV experience, then get over to the redmentv.com. Get your subscription in. If you join as a club legend, you get Discord exclusive merchandise discounts and all kinds of goodies, free tickets to live shows when we're allowed to do that stuff. And most importantly, the final word for this game, which promises to be an absolute belter. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
Thank you so much for watching the Redmen TV YouTube channel. Everything we do here is funded by our wonderful subscribers to the redmentv.com. Get over there, sign up and get amazing additional content, interviews, documentaries, mini-series, and of course additional pre and post match day content.